Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the inaugural show that we have dubbed The Road to Genesis. What a way to kick off our journey towards our anniversary as the House of Love. It is me, your host, Claire Kasozi, and today with me in studio are two counsel who are going to introduce themselves shortly. So I'm sure you have seen a lot of content coming from the House of Love on this concept called the Genesis, what I'd also like to call Ensibuko. Today on this show called The Road to Genesis, we have two guests who are going to help us break down the idea that is the Genesis. Join me as we get to learn more about them.
My name is Nelson Lubega. I am an advocate by profession, and I fellowship with House of Love. And for me, this place is home. I'm glad to be on this show today.
Hello, everyone. My name is Isaac Sechiti. It's very exciting to be a part of the road to Genesis. I am a lawyer by profession, and I am happy that you are watching the show.
All right, we have heard it from the learned friends, Counsel Nelson and Counsel Sechiti Isaac. We are very pleased to have you both in studio today. And before we go into understanding what the Genesis is about, we want to appreciate the experience of both counsel at the House of Love. So I'll start with you, Counsel Nelson. What is the experience of House of Love to you? What is the House of Love?
Thank you, Claire. For me, House of Love is a place of refuge. It is a place of reconstruction. It is a place where you get to heal. It mends. It is a place that gives endless chances. But above all, it is a place filled with love. House of Love is where you get to experience the trueness of God through the Word. Yes.
That's a very, very good question, and I will address it this way. House of Love is ministry, but beyond it being ministry, it's an experience of love. And if I'm to break it down, what is love? Love is patient, love is kind, it does not keep records of wrong, it is not self-seeking, it is not selfish, and that is exactly what House of Love is. But also, it is this place where you find very many young people, like me and you. You find very many joyous faces. You find people who are going to introduce you to love. People who are going to teach you and love you unconditionally. And also beyond that, it is a movement which is calling and inviting each and everyone to experience a place of love. So that is House of Love.
Thank you so much for your very amazing responses. And as we've heard from both counsel, the House of Love is just an experience for each one of us. Just from me, I know for a fact that the House of Love is a place of solace. I have found a lot of peace, love, and rooting in the House of Love. So going to the next question, I'm going to start with you, Counsel Nelson. We have heard from your introductions that you are lawyers, and we would love to know really in what way has the House of Love and the gospel that you hear from there every Wednesday influenced your career as a person?
Thank you so much, Claire, for that question. So many people have a presumption that careers make men, but I choose to think otherwise, because men make their careers. Through the person that you are, it dictates the kind of person you operate as, even as a lawyer. So through House of Love and through feeding on the Word, and the Word through which we get life, every place of my life, including my career, sprouts afresh. I'll give you an example. I will tell you for a fact, I pray about everything. I pray about my work. I pray about my office, I pray about my colleagues, I pray about my clients, about each and everything to do with my work. But through House of Love and from an aspect of love, I've come to learn to operate from a place of love. And in comparison to the person I was, the perspective I had from my career before joining House of Love, I will tell you for a fact, I am more understanding of a person. I am more forgiving a person. I will compromise right now where I never used to compromise back then, because you get to understand that even as you execute your duties as an advocate, you are operating from a place of a higher calling. It's not just about you, it's not just about the clients or the money or the transactions. At the end of the day, you owe these people a duty to love them. And I will tell you, when you operate from such a perspective as a person, everything and entirely everything will fall into place.
Thank you for that response, Councillor Nelson. And going to you, Councillor H.T. Isaac. Do tell us of your experience career-wise.
Thank you so much, Claire, for that. But this is how I prefer, or I would like to break it down. So, I am a lawyer, like I rightly stated when I was starting the show. But a day in the life of a lawyer, you know, it tends to get a little bit busy. It tends to get a little bit frustrating sometimes. It gets to get a little bit drowning. Yeah. Now, in my place, I work for a financial institution. But beyond working for a financial institution, I do lots of work, legal work for very many clients. You know, a client will come with lots of issues, and they expect you to be like a magic bullet for them. Yeah, I need you to do this, legal or illegal. I want it done. Yeah, and you get to carry most of these burdens all day. Along the way, you are walking on the streets of Kampala, but you are carrying a lot from quite a number of people. Now, this is how I look at House of Love as. At the end of the day, at the end of going through all that stress, at the end of carrying all those burdens, there needs to be a place where you need to let go, to offload, to be like, you know what, I have carried these burdens, but I cannot carry them for this much. Because at the end of the day, I will still stay a human being, but there is a higher power that is greater than me in my human capacity. That is how I view House of Love. House of Love is viewed, or I see it as that place where I will go on every Wednesday evening, and I talk to God. I look at God and I tell him, you know what, this is how my day has been. This is what happened on Monday. This is what happened on Tuesday. This is actually what is happening right now. This is what I am worried about. Actually, lawyers even worry as well. Yeah, they are not like, out of the planet. This is what I am carrying. This is what I am feeling. But I am letting it go. I am giving it to you, you know. And sometimes it's questions. You have quite a number of questions and you're asking, okay, what am I going to do here? How is my approach going to be here? But at the end of the day, like the way I wake up in the morning and every day I go back to my bed to rest, House of Love every Wednesday is that place of rest, that place of offloading, that place of letting go, that place of saying, you know what, God, here I am giving it all to you. So for me, that is how I look at House of Love, beyond just a ministry, but an experience, and also looking at as my career. And actually, this is what I tell my workmates every Wednesday. Every Wednesday, I purpose to leave office at a particular time, earlier than how I leave when I leave for the rest of the days. I tell them, you know what, guys, I am going to Nagoro. I'm going to Kembabazi. They actually all know that every Wednesday, that's my schedule. And you know what? I invite them. Of course, some come some days, some don't, but I keep inviting them. And for the ones who have deliberately come with me, they have felt what I feel. They have gotten the experience of love, that experience of crying out to a higher authority, a higher power beyond just my human power. That is what I do every Wednesday, and that is what I actually want every one of you who is watching this show to take off some time and pass by every Wednesday.
We want to thank Council for the amazing responses. And from their responses, we've understood that ever since they met the House of Love, their modus operandi has changed, but very essentially too, that before they are any professional, they are a human being that was created in the image of God, who has the mandate to cast that very image to the rest of the world. Now that takes me to the true experience of love that is the Genesis. We would love to know from you, Council Nelson, what is the Genesis? What expectations do you have for the Genesis? And what do you want to tell our viewers about what is happening on the 10th of November, 2023?
The Genesis is going to be our very first anniversary as House of Love. It is an inception of what God has called us to do unto this country and unto the lives of its people. But personally for me, it is a place of reminiscence. It is a place of recollection. I'm looking back at how far the Lord has brought me from the time I joined the ministry, from hearing the word and it sprouting life unto my life. We look back at how far we have come as a ministry. And I think on top of that, it is going to be a marking of an inception of the greatness of God. How far this ministry is going to go. It is a day of setting goals, of getting out to the world, of bringing it out to the people. House of Love, what is it? And it is a day that we shall be able to put it to the people out there that God is love. And through love, everything is possible.
It's very basic. It's nothing complicated. The Genesis, like the name says, the Genesis, the beginning. So why is it the Genesis? It's a mark of a beginning. Now, House of Love is celebrating its first anniversary, and deliberately it has been named Genesis because it is the first. But beyond just House of Love celebrating its first anniversary, it also marks the beginning of very many things. Now, House of Love is a ministry filled with people. All these people have different beginnings in their life, and particularly for me, it is marking quite a number of beginnings, a beginning of my perception of what love is, and it also is symbolic of very many beginnings, a beginning of a movement of love, love that loves unconditionally, a love that is central to God, the very core of where God resides. That is the kind of beginning we are talking about. But it also marks a beginning of very many destinies, a beginning of very many anointings, miracles, whatever you are looking at. This is a mark of that particular beginning. It may have taken a very long time, yeah. It may have not been clear, but purposely the Genesis is that symbol, that sign, in that from 10th November this year, it is beginning.
Thank you so much to the both of you. And I add my voice to that of both council when I say that Genesis is an invitation to each one of us. You'll notice that when you hear the word Genesis, an experience of love being an invitation, it triggers what we can call a paradox. Because already in the Bible, we already have the Genesis. And in the Genesis, God goes ahead to say, let there be man, but he goes ahead to create man in his own image. And this in itself is a sign of love. So the Genesis for the house of love is an invitation back to that place where God is capable of creating man in his own image, where he considers it no robbery to be like man, where he considers it no robbery to send his own begotten son to come and die for you and I, such that at the end of the day, none of us is considered a sinner, but rather has imputed righteousness. So this is an opportunity for us all to just go back to the writing board and start this story of love that God intended from the very beginning. Allow me invite you on the 10th of November 2023 to come to the hockey grounds and experience this love with us. It does not matter what profession you hold. It does not matter what religion you wield. What matters is that you were created in the image of God, and he loves you so much as to invite you to an experience of love. I've been your host, Claire Kasozi, and I'm looking forward to seeing you then.